Today on the Big 3 in 30, Luka leads the Lakers to a win in Denver with a triple-double.
Masterful effort from Luka Doncic. This was as good of a win as they've had this season.
Immanuel Quickley drops 40 and the Raptors beat the Warriors.
145-127 win over the Golden State Warriors.
And the Rockets land a comeback win over the Spurs.
The biggest comeback of the Rockets season. They were down 16 in this game, and they locked in.
This is the Big 3 in 30 NBA. The three biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The Big 3 in 30 NBA starts now. Thank you for making the Big 3 in 30 your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Luka Doncic went into Denver and led the Lakers to a win last night, finishing with 38 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists against the Nuggets. The Kamenetsky brothers recapped the performance on Locked On Lakers.
Andy, I'm not going to say there aren't bigger wins in Lakers history than this one, because that would be ridiculous. But in terms of this season, what they did in Denver on Tuesday night, a big 115-107 win over the Nuggets behind a masterful effort from Luka Doncic. This was as good of a win as they've had this season.
This was one of the biggest wins of the season. If it's not the best comeback win of the season, it's got to be pretty close. I would say it is top three in either respect. It was also a game, and I guess by definition, if I mention there's a comeback, it means something had to have gone wrong in the first half. But the first half was littered with so many disasters. You would not have seen this final result coming, whether you are, and we'll break down exactly what went wrong before we explain how incredible it was that the Lakers managed to turn this thing around and how many different guys chipped in to make it happen. You know, led by Luka Doncic, led by LeBron, but a lot of different guys chipping in. But to put this in perspective, Denver shot roughly 1 billion% from behind the arc in the first quarter. Just absolutely.
I believe they made 9 of their first 11 3-pointers.
They did. They made 9 of their first 11 3-pointers. They scored 71 points in the first half. The Lakers gave up 9 points in the final 52 seconds of this game. Disasters
of the half.
Excuse me, of the first half. They gave up 9 points in the final 52 seconds of the first half. Just disasters on both sides of the ball. Things, we'll break down the details, that you might not have even thought were possible managed to happen in those 52 seconds to close out the first half. But then the Lakers turned so many different things around in the second half, had so many different guys step up to make this happen. Like, this was a terrific win for the season.
Want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern or 3 to 4:30 on the West Coast. Yeah, I mean, and one of the interesting things about and encouraging things even really about the Toronto win on Sunday at the Crypt was that they did it without a big performance from Luka. It was nice to see the Lakers manage to beat a good team, and Toronto has played quite well this year. Managed to beat a good team without having to rely on some sort of supernova performance from Luka. That was then. This is today, Andy, and Luka. They got the other half of that in this game on Tuesday, where Luka, in basically every moment he was on the floor, except for one of those goofy turnovers at the end of the first half that led to a Gordon 3. Luka controlled every aspect of the game while he was playing. He finishes with 38 points on a very efficient 12 of 21 shooting. He made 11 of his 12 free throws. He was the best free throw getter and maker for the Lakers, who were not very good from the line in the game. It's really the only blemish that they had as a team. But he had 13 rebounds, 10 assists. He had a pair of steals. And again, just controlled every aspect of the game while he was on the floor. Fantastic Luka performance. So they got the game where they beat the good team without a big performance from Luka. Nice to know you can still do it when he does give you a classic Luka game.
He opened 6 of 6 for this game with 16 points. At the 2:20 mark of the first quarter, I believe the rest of the team only had 6 points. So this was one of those first quarters that, I mean, we've talked before how at times it has felt like these first quarter Luka-paloozas, while incredible theater to watch, aren't always the best way to get the rest of the guys in rhythm, to really establish a good offense. In this particular game, with the way Denver was hitting every single shot, I did not give an F where the Lakers got their points. They just needed to keep pace as best as possible. Luka in that first quarter was huge.
Yeah. And so, you start looking around the roster for other good performances that they got. LeBron, particularly big in the second half, 8 of 15 from the floor, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. He had 19 points. He was a plus 13 on the night, which is good to see. Marcus Smart had 15 points, hit half of his 3-point attempts. And then Andy, you look at the bench.
Fourth quarter three. I believe all 3 of his threes were in the fourth quarter, and they were huge.
Yes,
buckets.
It's nice to see the Lakers hit shots. So like when those, I call them gotta have it threes, where like it's open, it's there, it's the time of game where you need to be able to hit an open shot. The Lakers got a couple of those, and obviously from Smart. Nobody scored double figures coming off the bench, which is not unusual for the Lakers, but they did have 3 guys who had 9. And so between Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes, who started the second half for DeAndre Ayton, who got poked in the eye, hopefully won't miss too much time. And then, of course, Drew Timme, 9 points in 11 minutes. JJ Redick, I think very much is trying to figure out how to use him strategically, because he's got a lot of offensive skill. I believe he's the leading scorer in Gonzaga history, which is saying something, because there've been a lot of good players who've gone through and played there. So the guy's got plenty of offensive skill. He's slow AF, as the kids might say, but he's got a lot. And so Lakers coaching staff trying to figure out how to use him in ways where they can maximize the offensive capabilities. He was big. It just felt like they looked like a good team. They just look like a quality team, especially in the second half, building on that Toronto game.
Well, I was going to say that one of the things that we talked about a lot after that win over the Raptors was it was the most cohesive, just as a group, that the Lakers had looked in a while. Like the best they had looked in terms of just playing with intentionality, in terms of playing with everybody seemingly on the same page. It's 2 good, right? If you want to say 1.5 good defensive performances in a row. And, the first quarter with Denver just crushing it from outside was a combination of the Lakers messing up some coverage, a zone that JJ said they opened with. And as he noted, the man afterwards, when we adjusted, wasn't much better, but struggling
said it was worse.
Yeah, struggling with some coverage. And also, too, Denver making at times some pretty contested shots, but they picked things up as they went along. I want to talk about, over the course of this show, some of the adjustments that JJ made defensively that I really liked, in particular because they reflected JJ getting outside of his comfort zone, which is something that I said before on both sides of the ball. I feel like JJ can be reluctant to do the things that he
Well,
doesn't.
it was let's do that next, because it was a defensive adjustment that set the tone for a second half in which the Lakers allowed 36 points.
Yep.
36 points in the second half. 17 in the third, 19 in the fourth. That is a stunning bit of work.
The NFL playoffs are rolling along, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers every reason to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, play, or coaching. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. Visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. Immanuel Quickley exploded for 40 points, and the Raptors took advantage to beat the Warriors last night. Sean Woodley has more from the breakout from Quickley on Locked On Raptors.
Toronto Raptors 145-127 win over the Golden State Warriors, the first half of a California back-to-back. And obviously, the big thing we're going to dive into off the top, 40-burger for Immanuel Quickley, the IQ breakout game we've all been waiting for a very, very long time. We'll get into that. We'll talk about Brandon Ingram, who I thought had maybe his cleanest, most idealized game, perhaps of the season. We'll get into why that was and how IQ kind of helped that happen. And we'll get to the good, the bad, and including some good news on RJ Barrett. But Quickley, my God, packing like a month's worth of positive regression to the mean into 34 minutes of action last night. 40 points, 10 assists. He goes 11 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from deep, 11 of 11 from the line, for a 112.1 true shooting percentage, which per our pal Keeks over on Blue Sky, the Raptors stats queen, is the single most efficient 40-point game in the history of the NBA. All right, go off, King. Yeah, like incredible stuff for Immanuel Quickley in this game. Just could not miss, was in the flow early. You could kind of tell there was a rhythm early in this game. You know, transition threes in particular have been kind of a backbreaker for Quickley this season, just hasn't been able to be that effective sort of wing outlet, trailer outlet. And in this game, I think his first 3 or 4 threes were all in transition. And, kind of as a result of Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram sucking in the defense as they drove. Really great stuff to see. And then throughout the game, I just thought this was one of the most dynamic games Quickley's played on the ball all season long. Yeah, most of his threes were catch and shoots. He had the one pull up late when the Warriors were threatening to come back as Buddy Hield was just having an out of body experience. Quickly hits the pull up 3 around a screen from Scotty Barnes and kind of puts the game away with that. But in addition to the catch and shoot threes, I thought the way he commanded the offense, the way he worked the 2-man game with Scotty Barnes, the way he carved into the teeth of the defense, the way he kind of grifted for fouls as any guard worth his salt can do from time to time. I thought this was just like a really overall effective dynamic game from Quickley that frankly showed off why he's valuable to this team. Now, I don't think he's going to go do this every night. I don't think he's shocker. I don't think Immanuel Quickley is going to have the single most efficient scoring 40-point game in the history of basketball every single night. But I do think this game very much illuminated all the reasons why I'm not in any rush to just dump Immanuel Quickley because his contract is not perceived as good around the league. I'm not interested in attaching assets to get off of his deal just to get off of his deal for the sake of cleaning the books or for the sake of buying low on a Ja Morant who does very few things that this team desperately needs and also doesn't play basketball games. Like, again, you can have your misgivings about Immanuel Quickley. I certainly do. He's not been the player that I thought he would be when the Raptors traded for him and then gave him the contract, sort of assuming he would grow into it. But a game like last night, I think, really shows off this dude still has a ton of value to this team, and he helps them optimize and become the best version of themselves. And again, I think going back to the way he played the 2-man game with Scotty Barnes in particular, I thought, this was the impetus for getting Immanuel Quickley in the first place, right? This guy who doesn't need to be on the ball all the time. You kind of want with your wing created system you've got with Barnes and Ingram, you want to have a guard who's comfortable playing away from the ball, but who can also do a little with the ball in his hands. Certainly he hasn't done enough with the ball in his hands over the course of his time with the team to warrant what he's making at the moment. But I think last night, working pick and roll, which is always where Immanuel Quickley is at his best. He's not someone who's going to turn on the jets and just dive in and pierce a defense on his own, turning the corner on a guy in individual play. He needs a screen. He needs pick and roll. He needs defenders making decisions and, the sort of beats and rhythms of when to snake, when he can kind of get into the teeth of the defense. Like, he needs that sort of entryway via pick and roll. But when he does it, he's very good. And him and Scotty Barnes last night, I thought, had really beautiful pick and roll chemistry. And it was kind of varied, right? Early on in the game, you had this sort of quick slip from Scotty Barnes and quickly hits him over the top for a finish at the rim. You had just like your standard, drive around the pick and roll, hit the pocket pass, score at the rim type of stuff. You also had late in this game, Scotty being an outlet as a sort of 18-foot, I think of like the Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka pick and roll from back in the day is kind of what it reminded me of, where you have that 18-foot outlet where, maybe the drive gets walled off and you just have a dude you can dish it off to in those situations. And because you've drawn some attention with your drive, that's just like an easy all-day butter mid-ranger for a guy in Scotty Barnes who's just hitting mid-rangers like it's nothing these days. Just a really good connective game between those two that just kind of was the basis of everything they did in a game where they scored like gangbusters. The transition stuff in this game I mentioned was really great, but overall, the Raptors put up a 140.8 offensive rating in this game. Unbelievable stuff. And I think just the overall, I think forcefulness with which IQ played, getting into the teeth of the defense, and the sort of intentionality with which he moved away from the ball. He's such a great jitterbug when he's kind of at his peak, right? Pass it, get off the ball, relocate somewhere else. And when the threes aren't falling, it feels like it's not quite getting you anywhere. But I think we saw the way that he can just pull apart a defense with the spacing he provides and create room for others to go and attack and drive and operate from the middle. I think it's, again, it speaks to the value Quickley has, the way in which his shooting ability and spacing and gravity are still so important to this team. And I don't think you can just replace him with some perceived more talented guard who doesn't do that shooting stuff and expect the results to be better. I just don't see it at all. Not to beat the I don't want John Morant horse a little bit more, but I will keep on beating it because I don't want John Morant. I just think, the Quickley Scotty stuff, going back to that a little bit too, like, the way they work in concert, they're sort of dueling forces of gravity. Scotty Barnes, the interior gravity, right? He draws so much help. The Warriors were just like horrified of him last night. He continues to look like a full-on kaiju playing against this Warriors team that just doesn't have a lot of size. And they guarded him as such, right? They were sending 2-3 to the ball. It's why Scotty had 11 assists in this game to go along with his 26 points. Like, they sent help and he was just picking out the right passes, the sort of the pinging he does in close to, guys on the baseline, cutters, big to big stuff. He's just so damn good flipping the play. But then you have Quickley with this sort of gravity on the perimeter. And when you kind of put those two things together, it just creates all kinds of ways in which you can pull apart the defense at the seams, because there are so many decisions that team has to make with these two guys and those skill sets, which when optimized really play well off of one another. And it's not been a thing they've done enough over their time together, but hopefully this can be the start of something more, and if Scotty's going to have to play center for a little bit here with Colin Murray-Boyles out, we'll see for how long. And obviously we know Jakob Poeltl's not around. Like, I've been sort of yearning for more Quickley Scotty two-man game this year, more Quickley Scotty pick and roll. And I think last night they were just dynamite. Awesome. Like, lights out good. Yeah. Just, again, Quickley's not going to go 7-8 from deep every game. He's not going to put up 40 on 11 of 13 shooting every game. But if he can find the middle between this and kind of what he's been over the last month, it's a damn helpful player, a guy who is going to continue to help the team win the minutes he's on the floor, which he's done all season long, even with the struggles, even with the three-point shot not being there. His shooting is just a skill no one else on this team can replicate. It's why I continue to think the idea of starting Jamal Shed over him is just some real backup quarterback is better than the starting quarterback stuff. Like, no, he's not. Like, the gravity of Immanuel Quickley, even in a diminished state, even when he's not playing super well, it just opens up things for this team that, Jamal Shed cannot, even if Jamal Shed's very good. And he was very excellent last night too. Like, it's nice to have two guards playing those two guys together, by the way. No coincidence that Immanuel Quickley looked as good as he did. starting next to Jamal Shead. Like, that lineup configuration clearly works. It optimizes Quickley without totally taking him off the ball, and lets him do the off-ball jitterbug thing. And, this is why I think if you can get another guard where you can just kind of play more of those 2-guard lineups, I think that's a great call. Like, I think you should try to go do that if you can. It might not be possible. There might not be guys you can go and acquire who fit the financial needs of this team. But if you can go find someone, Scottie Pippen Jr., just find a way, man. Find a way. I think that's just, it behooves the Raptors to just get more guards who can open up those 2-guard lineups, because it opens up Quickley to do his thing. And I just think it's the best configuration this team can throw out right now. And maybe that's damning about Quickley's on-ball ability. Sure, like you might say that. But I think, again, last night proved he can kind of do both things, right? The 10 assists he had in this game, a lot of them were very creative and largely created out of paint touches that he himself engineered, whether with quick drives, pick and roll, whatever it was, attacking closeouts. Like, when he gets into the teeth of the defense, he is a good passer. He's a really good kick-out passer in particular. Had one beautiful kick-out to Mamu after he drove baseline, drew a bunch of help to the baseline, and then whipped it up top to Mamu for a 3. There's stuff there. He's not the perfect creative guard. He's not probably the long-term lead guard answer if you want to win at a high level for this team. But there's space between that and this guy's terrible, get him off my team at all costs. And I think, again, if he can kind of find the level between last night and the sort of down spell he's been over the last month, the Raptors are cooking, and he's going to be just fine.
The NFL playoffs are rolling along, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers every reason to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. Visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Welcome back to the Big 3 in 30 NBA. The Rockets made a fourth quarter comeback to beat the Spurs in a really good game last night. Jackson Gatlin recaps the matchup on Locked On Rockets.
This was a game that looked like the Rockets were going to mess around and lose. The Spurs led pretty much the whole way, had a comfortable 10-ish point lead for most of the night, and then the biggest comeback of the Rocket season. They were down 16 in this game, and they locked in at the end of the third quarter, the top of that fourth quarter. The defense, the spark from Reed Sheppard off the bench. And really, that's the story of this game. Is I don't know. We're going to have to keep a running log of how many games it feels like Reed Sheppard almost single-handedly helps ignite a Rockets comeback with his impact off the bench. And it wasn't just his offensive impact in this game. It was a two-way impact from Reed Sheppard that got them back into this one and helped them ultimately cross the finish line and get the win against San Antonio.
Yeah, man. Excellent game. I mean, the Shepherd, man. We're gonna have to call him the Shepherd, getting the guy, rallying the guys, guiding them down the pasture. For dub, man. The Shepherd, bro. Now, that was an amazing display of talent from one of the youngest players on the team, Reed Sheppard. I mean, not just the offense. We know that he had 12 points in the quarter. We know that he was excellent at his shot making in that quarter. But Reed initiated the offense almost 70% of the time down the stretch in those quarters. And that type of leadership, that type of initiation, creation, is more than just being a guy who can be set up in the corner to be a release valve, catch and shoot guy. No, this guy is making plays, getting the guys into rotation, getting the guys in and out of offense, being sure-handed with the basketball. And that type of stuff is what we're looking for with Reed Sheppard, because it's a long game with him. It's not just winning these games every day. We're trying to see, do we have an all-star, superstar talent on our hands? And those are the type of flashes that we want to see from Reed Sheppard. And this was just another display of, man, if this guy becomes consistent in this manner, we can see how that superstar upside really peaks its head. And so just tremendous kudos for Reed Sheppard for leading the Rockets, for initiating the offense, for calming guys down. He really got us in and out of our sets. He was excellent defensively down the stretch, and I know we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But man, I can't give that man enough flowers for the way he played against one of the best teams in the league, the San Antonio Spurs, and an excellent defensive team.
Third best defense in the association is San Antonio. So this is no slouch of a San Antonio defense. Granted, look, second night of a back-to-back for the Spurs. I think you could see that as the game wore on, right?
Yeah.
Their legs had completely left them. Three-point shooting abandoned them. They didn't hit a single three in that fourth quarter after bombing the Rockets on threes, all throughout the day. They hit 8 threes in the first, 3 threes in the second, 3 threes in the third, and then didn't hit a single three-pointer in that final frame. The Rockets defense really locking in, but also the legs kind of playing a factor for San Antonio. Absolutely. Reed Sheppard finishing in this one with a team high plus 15 points, plus 15 in his 29 minutes. He had 21 points, 8 of 17 shooting, 4 of 10 from downtown, 1 of 2 at the charity stripe, missed one of his little gimmies at the end when the Spurs started playing the foul game. He had the 4 assists, no turnovers, and of his assists, right? Like to your point about the playmaking, right? It's just, this Rockets team, you feel it when he's out there, right? He gives them another dimension, another creator, another guy who sees the floor at a level that nobody else on the roster sees the floor this way. Like it's Şengün, and then it's Durant, and Durant and Şengün see the floor at a certain level because they're both just such talented, high IQ players. And so, Kevin Durant has kind of been made into like the pseudo point guard at times for this Rockets team by necessity. And so you see KD, he's got the right idea for some of these passes and plays, but doesn't exactly have the, either the passing chops, the talent to execute it at the end of the day sometimes, which is why you get some of those, KD-esque kind of turnovers. But some of the playmaking shots from Reed Sheppard, like the kick ahead pass to Kevin Durant in transition, finding Clint Capella under the basket a couple different times, the lob pass that he had to Clint, just watching Reed settle in. And when he's playing like this, when he's playing this incredibly confident brand of basketball and then really letting it flow, like just offensively, right? Completely to the point where he was hunting his own shot. Now he did, he has some moments, right? He had that, they got that one really good stop, and then KD pitched it ahead to Reed, and Reed was like, I don't know, it was damn near a logo 3 that he took right early in the shot clock. And Kevin Durant kind of gave him like what the hell are you doing, man? And like some of those you could kind of do without, but it makes me kind of think back to, something that we talked about with Alper and Şengün earlier in the Ime Udoka era, right? And something that harkens back to players like Manu Ginobili, who Ime Udoka knows incredibly well, or a Steph Curry type, where sometimes you got to live with when guys like that are trying to push the limit of their ability, right? And that 3-pointer that Reed took, that's well within his range. He can hit those threes. We've seen him hit those threes. Was it the best 3 to take in that moment? Probably not. Had that 3 gone in, Toronto Center's rocking. Everybody's like, what the hell? This is like the greatest shot ever. So you live with some of the ill-advised or tough contested threes because he's got the insane talent ability to make it. The 3 that he hit with the hand in his face with the shot clock running down, just on the move, bailout 3, cans it. And that was part of that momentum building run that the Rockets had to get themselves back in this game to run away with it in that fourth quarter. And that's the thing that you're missing out on when you don't give Reed these chances. And he's clearly a kid that feasts off this, he needs confidence. He needs to feel like he's going to be, not pulled for the slightest mistake. I do think Ime needs to be a little bit softer on him as far as like, give him a little bit of a longer leash, but I also like what we're seeing from him. I think that by and large, we're getting, some incredible production from Reed Sheppard for this team, and that they need that to be able to go far this season.
Yeah. Reed gets in these spurts of rhythm where you can just feel the ignition, and it really transfers to the rest of the team. When he gets going, he can score in bunches, right? And so, as soon as Reed hit that first 3 in the fourth quarter in the corner, you could just see a little bit more pep in his step. Then he starts causing turnovers, right? There was I know he's only recorded for 1 steal, which is crazy because I felt like his hands were incredible all game, but it was because he was knocking the ball off guys' legs. There was one play against Dylan Harper where he knocked the ball off his leg, went out of bounds. He had another steal where it was like back to back, and you could start to feel the momentum that the Rockets are starting. All right, we're finna get this burst of energy right at the right time to make this push, and that type of energy connected this team and really led them to victory tonight. And it's going to be like you said. Reed is still a young player. He's making mistakes. There was one play where where Kevin Durant was the fourth quarter. He was flashing up on the baseline, and Reed passed it to him, but it was kind of like a lazy pass. He didn't see that the guy was, playing that passing lane. It was a near turnover, and those are the things that Reed has to clean up, right? But as you said, we have to give him a longer leash to explore his game. But we also have to be careful with not messing with his confidence when he makes too many mistakes. So right now, Reed is flashing. We want him to continue
almost like protecting him from himself, right? Because
exactly.
if you throw him to the wolves, you put him out there, and he has a stretch where he gets mistake after mistake after mistake, right? That can be really hard on a young player. So I guess from that perspective, I can understand I kind of protecting him from himself, but there's just that part of me that's just like, nah, get Reed out there for 35 plus minutes a night, because this Rockets team, the best version of this Rockets team is when Reed Sheppard is playing like this, and this is the version that if they want to have any kind of a deep and successful postseason run, they're going to need Reed playing like this. So if you can kind of get through the bumps and bruises of it in the regular season and get him ready for the postseason, the sooner you kind of expedite that development, the better off this team will be for it in the long run.
That's all for today's Big 3 in 30 NBA. If you follow football or college sports, the Big 3 in 30 has shows for the biggest news in the NFL and on campus going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 in 30 NFL or the Big 3 in 30 college wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 3 in 30 NBA.